Ashley Deans.
Jay Gurudev. Now it's our great pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Ashley Deans.
Dr. Ashley Deans is a space physicist who has published extensively in leading refereed journals on quantum cosmology, space science, and sociology. He has conducted research at Harvard College Observatory in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the United States, and at the Colham Center for Fusion Energy in Oxfordshire, England. He received his PhD in space physics from the Center for Research in Earth and Space Science at York University in Toronto, Canada, and Dr. Deans has traveled over to 90 countries giving talks on consciousness-based education, education that incorporates the Global Union of Scientists' brain-based approach to peace that Dr. Hagelin referred to. His book, A Record of Excellence, and his published articles describe the benefits of this approach of education, and for this work he received the Sears Roebuck Foundation Teaching Excellence and Campus Leadership Award. Dr. Deans is currently Director of International Programs for the David Lynch Foundation in the United States and Executive Director for the Global Union of Scientists for Peace. You have to finish reading his title.
Dr. Deans will be speaking on empowering the student to develop his full potential and to master his own destiny, and also on Maharishi University of Management, a model of modern Vedic living in the heart of America. Dr. Ashley.
Can I have the cable? Thank you very much, Roger Kingsley and Leslie. It's a great pleasure to talk to you today about consciousness-based education, and the title of my talk is Empowering Students to Develop Their Full Potential Through Consciousness-Based Education. And Dr. Hagelin has given us a wonderful introduction to the profundity of Maharishi's knowledge and also to consciousness-based education. So we give all thanks to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of the Transcendental Meditation Program, and Maharishi University of Management and Maharishi schools around the world. Now, one great problem in education today is the fact that education is stressful. Students become stressed, teachers become stressed, in fact the whole society is stressed. So reducing stress levels is a very important factor in our world today, which is really drowning in an ocean of stress. And what we see in fundamental education is that there are three components to education. There's the knower on the left, the process of knowing, and the known. And throughout the world today, most of the emphasis in education is on the known. When we were at school, we would study books. Today, students are doing research on the internet and trying to gain knowledge from the outside. But what Maharishi pointed out was that this gaining knowledge only on the outside can never lead to fulfillment in life. What is necessary is to have a balanced approach to education, where we gain knowledge of the outside, but also at the same time knowledge of the inside, knowledge of the knower, knowledge of the student in their infinite capacity. And the way in which that is gained is through this practice of transcendental meditation. So we see here in this diagram at the top is the representation of an ocean, and you see that there are waves on the surface of the ocean, and this is an analogy to the mind, where we have thoughts on the surface level of the mind. So our experience is every day we wake up and we start to have thoughts. We have a thought, that thought goes, we have another thought, just like waves come and go on the surface of the ocean. Now, if we had a form of meditation that involved concentrating or contemplating, that by definition would keep our mind on that surface thinking level, thinking about something or concentrating on something. The genius of Maharishi was that he was able to revive the ancient understanding of the Vedic term of meditation, which is transcending, nivartadvam, as Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Nivartadvam is the advice for gaining knowledge. And so what you see on this diagram is on the right-hand side, this arrow showing the process of transcending, going to finer levels of thinking, and then transcending thought itself, and experiencing that field of pure consciousness, that field of transcendental consciousness at the source of thought. Now, what would be the value of having the experience of the source of thought? If you've ever had to spend the day with a 6-year-old child, you know that 6-year-old children are very inquisitive. They never stop asking questions. And that tells us that every human being is born with a desire to know everything. It's born with a desire for total knowledge. And yet, when we go to school and university, as we go higher in education, we learn more and more, but we tend to learn more and more about less and less, until finally we graduate with a degree, knowing about medicine or engineering or art or music. So that desire for total knowledge never gets fulfilled. And when our most fundamental aspiration in life never gets fulfilled, then that is inherently stressful. So the experience of the source of thought fulfills our most fundamental aspiration in life. Because if we think about it for a moment, if we wanted to gain total knowledge, what could we do? We could go to a library, lock ourselves in the library, and attempt to read every single book in the library. But that would be not only futile, it would be very depressing. Because if there are 1 million books, you can't read 1 million books. But if you think for a moment, where do books come from? Where does knowledge come from? Every book in the library originated as thought in the mind of a human being. So if all human knowledge originated as thought, it's not unreasonable to suppose that the source of thought is the source of all knowledge. And that's what transcendental meditation gives us, the experience of that field of pure, silent awareness at the source of thought that is the field of total knowledge. Now, when you went to school, you learnt English and physics and Nepalese and all these different subjects, but did you ever have the experience of pure consciousness as part of your education? Because if you didn't, then you never gained that fulfillment of experiencing the field of total knowledge. And as Dr. Hagelin described, we see on the left that the universe is structured in layers of existence, and on the right is illustrated the process of transcendental meditation, which allows the mind to experience finer levels of thinking and experience that source of thought and have that experience of samadhi. And we see here that the Vedic literature, the sutras of Patanjali, they say that yoga is the complete settling of the activity of the mind. So this is what transcendental meditation provides, the experience of samadhi and the complete settling of the activity of the mind. That is the definition of yoga. So in this sense, yoga has to be added to every educational system to provide us with that experience of samadhi, which is the experience of the unified field of all the laws of nature, which is the experience of that field of total knowledge. And then the Vedas say, know that, by knowing which everything is known. So the beauty of Maharishi's consciousness-based education is that it gives you the experience of that one thing, pure consciousness, samadhi, or the unified field of all the laws of nature, by which everything is known. One simple experience to gain total knowledge. And that experience allows that anxiety to go down, because finally you're having the experience that you've always wanted to have in life. And these studies, very sophisticated meta-analyses of randomized control studies, show over the last 40 years that transcendental meditation is by far the most effective way of reducing anxiety compared to any of the other techniques that have ever been studied. With teachers, after just 4 months, burnout symptoms are significantly reduced. In health, as Dr. Hagelin said, unprecedented results in reducing heart attack, stroke, and mortality. A 66% decrease in heart attack, stroke, and mortality over 5 years in people who meditated more than 8 times a week. So you see, this is revolutionary knowledge in the field of education and the field of health. Now, we know from our experience that everything we do changes our brain. Everything that we eat changes our brain. Everything we see changes our brain. Everything we experience changes our brain. But in order to have good education, we have to be able to optimize the brain functioning of the student. So if we look at the electroencephalograph during transcendental meditation, here we see in this paper from the Journal of Cognitive Processing, on the left is the degree of coherence in the brain, sitting with eyes open. In the middle is the level of coherence in the brain, sitting with eyes closed. And on the right, after 10 seconds of transcendental meditation, the whole brain is functioning holistically, coherently. The whole brain is enlivened. Now, let's think about that for a moment. So let's suppose that you're studying mathematics. Mathematics will enliven the left side of the brain. Art will enliven the right side of the brain. Or playing a sport will enliven the motor cortex. But these fragmented parts of knowledge, they lead to fragmented brain development. Nothing is offered in education today to develop the whole brain. But the experience of the field of total knowledge develops the whole brain. Partial knowledge develops parts of the brain. The experience of total knowledge develops the whole brain. And that is what has been missing from education. Because education ultimately has to be to develop the whole brain of the student. When the student is using their whole brain, then every subject becomes easy. And you see here, from the front of the brain to the back of the brain, the connections are strengthened, meaning that the chief executive officer of the brain, responsible for things like moral reasoning and future planning, begin to govern the more animalistic parts of the brain. The person becomes more fully integrated, more fully developed. The left side of the brain now communicates with the right side of the brain. You've all met people who are left-brained, meaning that they're very good at mathematics, but they may not be very good at communicating with people. And you've met many people who are brilliant at communicating with people, but who are not good at mathematics. What you see with Maharishi's consciousness-based education is holistic development. So the student who is not so good at mathematics becomes better at mathematics. The student who is not so good at communicating becomes better at communicating, and you have a fully rounded, fully developed human being. So this is what happens when we have this process of transcending. We experience the source of thought, and we experience bliss consciousness, which in the Vedic tradition is called samadhi. Now, it's very interesting to see from the Vedic literature, here from the Ramcharitmanas, it says total knowledge is gained in a short time. Now, everybody here went to school, right? Anybody here go to school? Yes, everybody. Good. And you started school at 5 years old, and you went to school for at least 10 years. And if you got a bachelor's degree, you went for at least 15 years. And if you got a PhD, you went for at least 20 years. And did you gain total knowledge in 20 years? No. So why do the Vedas say that total knowledge is gained in short time? How long did it take for the brain to become completely coherent during transcendental meditation? Does anybody remember what I said? 10 seconds. So the Vedas know total knowledge, or the experience of the field of total knowledge, can be gained in 10 seconds, and lack of total knowledge can be gained in 20 years. So you see the profundity of Maharishi's system of consciousness-based education. So the most important point that I'm making today is that it's only the experience of transcendental consciousness, or samadhi, that enlivens total brain functioning. And again, to repeat, this is what has been missing from education around the world for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. So adding the experience of transcendental consciousness to education brings fulfillment to education, because as the students begin to use their total brain potential, they become brilliant students. Here you see a diagram showing that brain coherence is positively correlated to things like concept learning, moral reasoning, creativity. High brain coherence reduces anxiety, it increases self-awareness. All of these wonderful qualities of humanity improve as a result of transcendental meditation, which in turn increases EEG coherence. So at Maharishi University of Management, which Dr. Hagelin is the president of, we combine this ancient knowledge of consciousness-based education, Atma-based education, with the most modern advances in modern science. Here you see the computer professional program, where we train students from all over the world, the second largest professional MA program in America, and we place them with Fortune 500 companies like Apple and Microsoft and Yahoo, etc. And they go on to great achievement. There are many students who have come to this program from Nepal, because Dr. Deepak Baskoda has been sending them. The campus is built according to the ancient principles of Maharishi Vastu, which Dr. Ike Hartman will talk to us about. This campus plus adjacent Maharishi Vedic city is the first Vedic city in the world. And we will be building Vedic cities here in Nepal, because Veda and Vastu bring supportive nature, fortune. These are the golden domes at Maharishi University of Management, where students practice yoga. They practice the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and transcendental meditation. And this is our sustainable living building here on the left, which is pioneering all of these different technologies to save the planet, whether it's energy self-sufficiency or organic agriculture. And this is the first large mega-ray solar panel plant in America, which is being pioneered by Maharishi University of Management, which is using vanadium flow batteries, high technology, to make the campus energy self-sufficient. So you see that we're combining this ancient knowledge of Veda, which makes the students more aware, more alert, more creative. Then they can contribute maximum to progress in modern science without harmful side effects. And at the Maharishi School of the Age of Enlightenment, where students learn transcendental meditation at 10 years old, then they grow in intelligence very quickly. And just to summarize, their achievements are outstanding. They have won the creative problem-solving competition, Destination Imagination, World Championships, more often than any other school in the world. This is because they all practice transcendental meditation. And then they also practice Maharishi Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, together with the students at the university and the faculty at the university. Here again, Yogasita Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the complete settling of the mind. And when that occurs, we see on the right here Patanjali Yoga Sutras. When the mind is settled, then Patanjali's Yoga Sutras can be practiced in their effectiveness, and all of the predictions that Maharishi Patanjali made are realized. So here we see, in order to do the siddhis, you must have samadhi as well as dhyan, garan. And here is a demonstration of the sutra for yogic flying, which has been found to rapidly increase the coherence in the brain, and this is practiced by the students at Maharishi University of Management. And then all over the world now, students are practicing transcendental meditation in schools and universities. This is a school in Portugal. The European Union have now given more than €1 million to introduce transcendental meditation into schools in Portugal and Holland and Sweden and Italy and the United Kingdom and Belgium. It's rapidly expanding because it's highly effective. This is in the United States, in San Francisco, where the results have been extraordinary. For example, the students who were instructed in transcendental meditation, after 4 months, had a highly significant improvement in their mathematical ability compared to the control group. So no change in how you teach mathematics, but a change in the coherent functioning of the brain. And this is the answer to every teacher's prayer. Because if you can have students with highly coherent brains, whatever you teach is going to work out to be very, very effective. And in the next slide, you see that students enjoy school more often. This school in Connecticut, it went from a 20% dropout rate to a 5% dropout rate in 1 year. Violence in schools goes down. You see in San Francisco, the school with the greatest violence came down with suspensions by 79% over 3 years. So this really solves all of the outstanding problems that we see in education today. So all over the world, here in Nepal, public schools, military schools, the gurukuls, where the students are learning yoga and yagya, and here is yagya going on. And we have all these different types of education. So you can have a scientific education plus transcendental meditation and yogic flying. You can have a traditional Vedic education with some science. So developing all of the fundamental qualities of students. Here in the Middle East, where we need urgently to have coherence, in Thailand, where they're now doing transcendental meditation. But you see people from the Islamic tradition, from the Buddhist tradition, from the Christian tradition, these are Catholic students in South America, all having the same experience. Because transcending, if you're Christian, gives you the experience of that peace that passes all understanding within, the kingdom of heaven within you. If you're Hindu, you have the experience of samadhi. If you're Buddhist, you have this experience nirvana. If you're not religious, you have this wonderful, blissful experience. It's a universal experience that develops the total potential of everyone. This is the Maharishi School in Uganda, in South Africa, where the violence has gone down significantly since the program started. In Bali, where the governor of Bali is now introducing the program into every school in the province. In Colombia, where the president of Colombia received the Nobel Prize 2 years ago and credits the peace that broke out in Colombia to the students doing transcendental meditation. This is in Thailand, where the students are doing the advanced TM City program and including yogic flying. This is in India, where thousands of students are now practicing yogic flying together. And this is in Britain. This is the Maharishi School in Britain that is now fully funded by the British government based on the fantastic results that they've had. And you see here in the next slide, this published study showing on the left the rising crime in Liverpool, Merseyside, where the school is. And then as soon as the school and the community reached that critical number of the square root of 1% of the population practicing TM and yogic flying together, you see a phased transition in the crime. And as Dr. Hagelin said, there's now been 56 studies showing this reduction of crime or collective stress as a result of the group practice. Here's the large experiment that Dr. Hagelin led in Washington, D.C. You see the green bar is the rise in the number of yogic flyers together in the group, reaching almost 4,000. The brown line is the decrease in violent crime in Washington. And this was a highly statistically significant result. And then this is again at Maharishi University of Management, probably the largest experiment ever done in terms of sociology, where an American businessman, Dr. Howard Settle, said, I want to do a national demonstration, and I'm going to make yogic flying a profession, and so I'll pay people to come as a profession and do yogic flying together. And so with that announcement, the number of people in the TM City group rose very rapidly. By the beginning of 2007, there was the square root of 1% of the US population, about 1,700. And then look what happened to the crime. You see on the left is before the experiment, violent crime goes up in the summer, down in the winter, up in the summer, down in the winter. Then the group formed in 2007, and you see a completely different crime trend. Crime still goes up in the summer and down in the winter, but now it's on a decline. The same thing with infant mortality rate, because health of society goes up as consciousness goes up. Murder rate went down. Motor vehicle fatality rate went down, because most accidents do not occur because the wheels fell off the car. Most accidents occur because the driver started to lose awareness, maybe started to fall asleep or wasn't paying attention. So as collective consciousness rises, then the whole society benefits. And then after the experiment, you see what happened? This is the number of people in the experiment decreasing. And what do you think happened to the crime? It went up, I'm afraid. You see, during the experiment, the crime goes down by 20%, and then when the numbers in the yogic flying group went down, the crime goes up by 18%. So the moral here is we have to make these groups permanent. So I'll finish with a quote from Maharishi. It says, consciousness is something by which everything is known. So development of consciousness delivers total knowledge, and it gives us the knowledge of how to know that by which everything is known is through Maharishi's technologies of consciousness. So it's been a great pleasure to talk to you today, and great Jai Gurudev. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashley Deans. मैले उहाँले भनेका सबै चीज भन्यो भने फेरि पुरै अनुवाद हुन्छ। के भन्नुभयो समराइज गर्न गइरहेको छु। सुरुमा उहाँले डाक्टर जोन हेगलिनले पनि सीबी को बारेमा कुरा गर्नुभयो भनेर सुरु गर्नुभयो र उहाँले के भन्नुभयो भने अहिलेको शिक्षामा के छ त कस्तो छ भने अहिलेको शिक्षा भनेको धेरै तनावपूर्ण छ। शिक्षाको जुन घटकहरू अथवा कम्पोनेन्टहरू हो ज्ञान ज्ञाता र ज्ञेय भन्ने चीजलाई बिर्सिएको छ। जब हामीले यसलाई सन्तुलनमा ल्याउँछौं त्यसपछि मात्र हामीले पूर्ण शिक्षा अथवा पूर्ण ज्ञान हामीले हाम्रो शिक्षाबाट प्रदान गर्न सक्दछौं। महर्षिले वैदिक ज्ञान र ध्यानलाई पुनरुत्थान गरेर धेरै सरल रूपले यो तीनवटा चीजलाई तीनवटा घटकलाई सन्तुलनमा ल्याउन सक्ने गरी एउटा ध्यान दिनुभएको छ। त्यो भनेको भावातीत ध्यान हो। हामीले उहाँले के भन्नुभयो त्यसपछि भने जस्तो हामी के को लागि जन्मिन्छौं भने हामीले धेरै जान्नको लागि जन्मिन्छौं। हामीले स्कुल सुरुवात गर्छौं, हामी बच्चामा स्कुलमा जान्छौं र 20 वर्षसम्म स्कुलमा पढ्छौं। हामीले के पूर्ण ज्ञान प्राप्त गर्छौं त? छैन। पूर्ण ज्ञान प्राप्त गर्दैनौं। त्यसैले यो रामचरितमानसमा लेखिएको छ अल्पकाल विद्या सब पाई। त्यसैले भावाती ध्यानले हामीलाई त्यो क्षेत्रमा पुर्याउँछ जसले हामीलाई छोटो समयमा नै पूर्ण ज्ञान प्रदान गर्ने क्षमता हामीलाई दिन्छ। त्यसैले हामीले शिक्षामा के गर्नु पर्यो भने चेतनामा आधारित शिक्षा अथवा आत्मामा आधारित शिक्षालाई लागू गर्यौं भने हामीले त्यो समाधिको स्तरलाई, विचारको स्रोतलाई हामीले अनुभव गर्न सक्दछौं र त्यसलाई अनुभव गरिसकेपछि विशुद्ध चेतना अथवा विचारको स्रोत र यो विकास भएको बाहिरको शिक्षालाई हामीले जोडेर सन्तुलित बनाएर हामीले अगाडि लिएर जान सक्दछौं। त्यसपछि उहाँले अरू रिसर्चका कुराहरू देखाउनुभयो, जस्तो तनाव विलय हुन्छ अथवा मुटु रोगी सम्बन्धी अथवा चिन्ताका कुराहरू, एङ्जाइटीका समस्याहरू कम हुन्छन् भन्दै महर्षि युनिभर्सिटी अफ म्यानेजमेन्टको त्यहाँको व्यवस्थापन र त्यहाँको बिल्डिङ जस्तो वास्तु अनुसार बनेको छ भन्ने कुराहरू सबै देखाइसकेपछि उहाँले महर्षिले के भन्नुभएको कुरालाई उहाँले दर्शाउनु भएको छ भने चेतनामा आधारित शिक्षाको माध्यमले शिक्षामा निहित अपर्याप्ततालाई दूर गर्दछ। यसले पूर्ण ज्ञान प्रदान गर्दै प्रत्येक व्यक्तिको मस्तिष्कको सम्पूर्ण कार्यपद्धतिलाई प्रकट गराउँदछ, जसले गर्दा मानिसले आफ्नो पूर्ण सृजनात्मक क्षमतालाई प्रयोग गर्न सकुन् र उसले पूर्णताको जीवन पाउन सकोस्। नेपालका सबै विद्यालयहरूले पनि यस कार्यक्रमलाई लागू गर्दाको ठूलो फाइदा के हुन्छ भने विद्यार्थीहरूले यस प्रविधिको अभ्यास साथमा गर्नाले अत्याधिक सकारात्मक तरंग सृजना गर्दछ र सामूहिक चेतनामा सहसम्बद्धताको निर्माण गर्दछ, जसले गर्दा उनीहरूको समुदायमा जीवनको गुणस्तरमा सुधार आउँदछ। यसलाई यदि सबै विद्यार्थीहरूले यौगिक उडानको सामूहिक अभ्यास गरे भने दिगो आर्थिक उन्नति तथा विशाल सामाजिक सामञ्जस्यताको कारणले समाजमा भएका हिंसा तथा अपराधहरूलाई कम गर्न सकिन्छ। चेतनामा आधारित शिक्षा लागू गर्न तथा विद्यार्थीहरूलाई उनीहरूको पूर्ण मस्तिष्कको असीमित सृजनशीलताको अनुभव गर्ने अवसर प्रदान गर्न नेपालको शिक्षा विभागलाई केही गाह्रो छैन। 20औं शताब्दीदेखिको पीडा संसारलाई अहिले धेरै भइसकेको छ। नेपालमा 21औं शताब्दीमा प्रत्येक व्यक्तिले आफ्नो पूर्ण मस्तिष्कलाई प्रयोग गर्दै पीडालाई अन्त गर्न सक्नेछन्। त्यसपछि नेपाल सम्पूर्ण संसारका लागि प्रकाश गृह बन्नेछ। त्यसैले यो महासम्मेलन मार्फत हामी के भन्न चाहन्छौं भने वैदिक नेपालको पुनर्स्थापना गर्दै नयाँ युगको उषालाई प्रदर्शित गरौं। महर्षिले यस ध्यानलाई र महर्षि 1974 मा यहाँको बेला नेपाल टु लिड द वर्ल्ड भन्नुभएको थियो, त्यसलाई हामीले शिक्षाको माध्यमबाट पूर्ण गरौं। यस्तै भावहरू राख्दै उहाँ जानुभयो। म पनि यहाँहरुबाट यति भन्दै बिदा हुन्छु। जय गुरुदेव।